to Questions at Midnight. I'm Jeremiah, and I'm glad you're joining me. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with a friend. It really helps more people discover the show. You can find Questions at Midnight on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. If you'd like to reach out with a question, topic suggestion, or feedback, email me at questionsatmidnightpodcast@gmail.com. Now let's get started. We've got Leah here. She is my wife, an amazing person. And I know the first thing she said is, this is really weird. My husband is interviewing me, and I don't know how I feel about this, but we're going to see how this goes. And for all you husbands out there that have never interviewed your wife before, well, I'll let you know how it goes after. But I'm going to just open this up. We're going to talk about a UFO experience that my wife had when it was before we met. And it was in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s. And it was something that she kept very secret. I never thought I'd be interviewing her about it, 15 years later or so, 20 years later, I don't know. But yeah, so this is going to be an interesting conversation. I'm going to ask her questions that I don't think I've ever asked her. This is not rehearsed. You are hearing this straight from her. And first of all, how are you doing, dear?
I'm fine. This is awkward, but...
Well, I mean, your husband is...
And also, the 90s were 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's upsetting. I agree. We have two amazing little kids, and we've had an interesting life together. Still having an interesting life together. It's not over yet. And I'll let you know after this interview if it is, but I think we'll be fine. And so, dear, can you first, before we get into this weird topic, tell a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, and just give us a little bit about who you are?
I'm Leah. I am your wife and the mother of your two beautiful children, who are the cutest boys on the planet. And yeah, I pretty much run this show.
Yeah, she pretty much does run this show, and I just kind of say yes, dear. And that's how this marriage has lasted so long. We've been through, hell and back, you could say, and here we are, still going strong and still saying yes, dear. And that's the way it works. So if guys out there, if you're having trouble, just say yes, dear. It's okay. You want to tell them when we met?
We met in 1999. We went to see the Blair Witch Project together with some of our friends, and you were there. And you acted like a nut the whole time. But
yeah, some things never change. You thought I was cute?
Yes.
I thought you were pretty cute too. I still do. Blair Witch Project was one of those movies that if you're born after 1990 and you're considered a youngin or a little person or millennial or whatever those words mean, Blair Witch Project is one of those movies that is a fake story. It's fiction. But in those days when we watched it, everyone thought it was real because we didn't have social media. We had the internet, and we had the BlairWitchProject.com, and it looked real. It looked legit, like it was real, and it was terrifying and probably the last really great shocker of film in history, really. And we went, and that was our first movie we saw together, and it was. It was
not an official date.
No, we weren't even sitting by each other. I know exactly who I was sitting by. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but hey, Paul, how you doing? Anyway, shout out to Cody too for bringing us together. So anyway, let's get on this. Let's get past this stuff because no one wants to hear about us. And if you do, sorry. Well, maybe we'll do another episode. Anyway, so you saw a UFO, and okay, let me first ask you a question that's also not on this list. Would you consider yourself a person who likes to talk about UFOs?
Sometimes.
Would you consider yourself that when you first told me about this?
No,
Okay, why not?
because I thought it was weird. I thought I was weird for seeing such things.
Okay, so when you saw this thing, were you like researching the topic? Were you delving deep into aliens and all that kind of stuff?
No, not at
Okay.
all.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say no. That's stuff you still don't do, and yet you saw something. So was this something that you expected to see, or was it a surprise, or
It was a surprise.
complete shocker?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just I'll stop asking questions and I'll let you have the floor here. Can you just basically tell everyone what happened during your UFO sighting?
Okay, so I was probably 16 or 17 years old, and we had just gotten back from church camp, and me and my cousin went into town to Walmart so I could pick up my pictures that I took at camp. And we were headed back home, and it was a cloudy uh, afternoon, evening. It looked like it was getting ready to storm. And we were going down the highway towards my house. And we were getting ready to go around this curve in the road. And I look over to my left, and I see this round object hovering above the trees. And it was really scary. I like immediately got scared when I saw it. I knew it was a UFO. Um, it was like your classic, what is it?
Like a flying saucer.
Like a flying saucer.
So it was like your typical saucer shaped, like a bump on the top side type thing
above the trees.
above the trees. Was it made of? What was it made of?
It looked metallic.
Was it like full metallic? Were there any colors to it? Or
I don't remember really what colors it was.
but it looked like metal too. Did it look like it was reflecting light or anything like that, like sunlight?
No, because it was cloudy.
Oh, that's right.
And it was really weird because the sky was starting to turn like this weird color purple. And I will never forget that shade of purple. It was really strange. And I didn't know if it was being caused by if that color was being caused by the storm that was coming in, or if the object in the sky was making the sky look that way.
Interesting. Okay, so you were 16 or 17 and you were driving. What kind of car were you driving?
Really? A Dodge Omni.
I just had to pull that out. You didn't think I was going to ask that. I didn't think I was either.
That was rude.
Dodge Omni. So Google that, guys. And what color was it?
It was light blue.
Light blue. Okay, so if you know me, you know I'm colorblind, which doesn't mean I can't see colors. It means that colors look different to me than everyone else. So when you said the sky was purple, that probably looked blue to me, but probably like a darker blue. But yeah, so interesting, purple. You were coming back from church camp. Did you talk about aliens or UFOs at church camp?
No.
Not surprising. So you weren't. This wasn't on your mind.
No,
it
not
wasn't
at all.
like you were seeking it out and then
Yeah.
it showed up, sort of thing. Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. And let's see. So you were on the highway. What state were you in at the time?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay. So you were on a highway. Were you around any, let's say, landmarks or anything that people might?
I was less than a mile from my church.
Okay. And your church was about, okay, less than a mile from you. Okay. And is there anything else in the area that you know of that might have been a reason why this thing was?
No, not really. I have no idea.
So that's something I've always wondered is, UFOs typically, which of course UFOs, unidentified flying objects, are typically seen by just a few people at a time. And sometimes they're seen by whole cities. And sometimes they're seen by one or two people. In this case, you're driving on a highway, there's nothing around, there's a church nearby, a small church. This is a small church, right?
Yes.
Okay. So not a populated area, you could say. It was out in a rural area. So you kind of wonder, like, why is this thing even there where it is? So
there was a house close to the road. So this thing was like in their yard, basically, like their backyard. But I don't know the people who lived there at the time. It was just this little white house on the side of the road.
do you want to go knock on their doors and ask?
Not really.
Not really.
Well,
Okay.
the house isn't there anymore.
The house is gone. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So it's round. So we talked about the shape. So it's kind of round. And you and I have talked in private about, and I might post this on the page later, I'm not sure, but we kind of discussed the shape of this thing and how it, and I brought up a list of very common shapes of unidentified flying objects that people have seen from, basically recorded history. And you pointed out that it was kind of in between this and this one and this one. And I might throw that shape out there sometime. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to get permission from you first. But so you said the next thing you said is that you were scared. Why were you scared?
I don't know. It was just an overwhelming sense of fear and dread from seeing this object in the sky that I was not expecting to see. And my cousin was with me, and I didn't want her to be scared. So I wasn't like, hey, look at this or whatever. I didn't like point it out to her. And when we got down the road a little ways, I kept checking my rear view to make sure like nothing was following us. And I did ask her, I was like, did you see that weird thing back there in the sky? And she was like, no, like she had no idea what I was even talking about. And we never talked about it again.
You kind of wonder if maybe she did see it, but she didn't want to say anything. I won't speculate there, but
she was like talking to me the whole time.
So she wasn't looking.
I don't think she even noticed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's probably a good thing she didn't see it because you didn't want to cause a panic or anything like that. And it's interesting that you were filled with an overwhelming sense of fear, and that's not unheard of. That's a very common response or reaction to people when they see something like this, or whether it's a UFO, whether it's a cryptid, whether it's a ghost, whether it's a spirit of some kind, whether it's some kind of unusual experience. And then there's a few cases where there's no fear. There's like a sense of peace, but that's usually follows different circumstances. But it's interesting that you were filled with fear. Did you have like were you scared that something might happen, or what? Did you even know what you were scared of, or was it?
I had no idea what I was scared of. I just knew that what I saw was something that was not normal. And so I don't know. I don't know where the dread came from, but it was just very overwhelming.
Did you notice if it was moving in any way, like wobbling or
I think it was just stationary,
just kind of hovering there?
hovering above the trees.
There's a lot of classic UFO videos out there by people such as, I want to say, I can't remember his name now. I'll have to look it up later. But there's famous videos that have been confirmed by others years later that that's the same thing they saw and so forth. Billy Meyer, that's his name. He's an interesting guy. He recorded a bunch of UFO sightings outside of his house in Switzerland, and the first ones he recorded were actually, if you're familiar with the Bob Lazar case, Bob Lazar actually said that's the same thing I worked on at S4. And it's like the exact same craft, same description, up to the little thing sticking out of the top. And years later, he came out with some more videos that were most likely fake because it's been speculated that maybe he just wanted to have that attention again. Who knows? But it's interesting that some of these things just hover there, like some of the ones he recorded, and sometimes they're like wobbling as if they're kind of like they're on a string, but maybe they're not. They don't act like they're on a string, but sometimes they just wobble in very unusual ways. So yeah, so it's just hovering there, and that would be unusual to see something not conventionally flying like an airplane or something, but just kind of hovering there in the sky and not being suspended by anything. You didn't notice anything holding it up or anything?
Nope, nothing at all.
That's wild. Okay, so uh, what's the most clearest memory you have of this? Whether it was seeing it, whether it was the fear, whether it was the sky, what's the most clear thing?
Probably the sky being so purple, like such a weird shade of purple.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know if anyone's ever. I'm sure there's people out there that have probably noticed weird colors in the sky or something.
And it was like it was really cloudy, and it was definitely like a big storm coming. So I kind of at some point in my life just wrote it off as maybe it was just some kind of weather event that I was witnessing, but weather events aren't metallic and hovering above trees. So I don't know.
When you said it was metallic, did you notice like what shade of color it was? Was it like a gray or silvery?
It's probably like silvery.
Was it like a dull silver, or was it? I asked you if it was reflective, but obviously it wasn't sunny. But was it like super shiny?
Not super shiny or anything, but
would you say
clearly, but
would you say unpolished steel or
yeah, maybe
like
something
that?
like that.
That's actually what Bob Lazar said about his craft. Was it wasn't like a perfectly reflective metal. It was like an unpolished steel almost, or ceramic. But anyway, what did you do, or how did you feel immediately after, or maybe hours or minutes or hours later?
That sense of dread that I had kind of hung on for the rest of the evening. And I just felt really weird about seeing it, witnessing it. And I remember standing in the kitchen with my mom later on that evening and wanting to tell her, but then not wanting. Then I didn't end up saying anything just because I didn't want her to think I was weird.
And it's very common. People, well, there's actually several reasons why people don't like to talk about some stuff like this. They either want to forget it because it's just something that's outside of their paradigm. I mean, you don't expect to walk outside and see an object that's probably several hundred or several thousand pounds just hovering there in the sky, not having rocket engines or air, conventional means holding it up. And but there's also, it's interesting that it made me think of there's a very common response to people. They have this sort of mental I don't want to say mental block, but it's like a dumbing down of their senses when they see stuff like this. It's like when they come in contact with it or see something, they I think they've actually called it like their brain waves drop to like a theta pattern. And they basically almost go into like a dreamlike state. And some people when they see, like, some people in groups in vehicles, maybe they're driving along and they all see this thing. After they see it, they'll drive down the road and not even speak of it. Not that they don't want to, they're just like in this kind of dumbed down, almost, I don't want to say zombie like state, or kind of like just a half asleep type state. Not that they're tired, but, and then it's hours later, they're like, do you guys remember seeing something? Wasn't that weird? And then they start talking about it. But it's interesting that that happens with a lot of these strange occurrences, whether it's, like I said before, maybe it's a UFO or it's a cryptid. There's some sort of mental, and it could be attributed to different types of sound effects. I think they call it infrasound, and which is common around things like Bigfoot or cryptids or whatever. They have this sound that is emitted that affects the human mind or the human brain activity, so that it causes the human to either forget, or the eyewitness to either forget, or kind of just be distracted, or not realize, or you just kind of have like a moment where their mind kind of shuts down, and they'll either forget it, have lost time, or they'll just kind of go, you know what, I forgot completely what I was doing. But so that's kind of interesting that happens. So I want to ask a couple other questions. So did you just kind of forget about this after you didn't want to tell anybody, or did this affect you in either like the days or months or even years that followed?
Well, I definitely didn't forget about it. And like, the next day I just went about my business and like nothing ever happened.
Did you kind of hope you didn't see it again? Were you ever like looking up, like, where
yeah, when I would pass through that spot, sometimes I would look over there and see if I could. Well, I know, like in the days after, I would look over there to see if I could see anything that might have explained what I saw, but there wasn't. There
do you
wasn't
still feel
anything
that
there.
feeling if you drive through there today, since you've told me about it? And
No, not that I'm more, not not now, since I'm older and you know more secure in my faith.
speaking of your faith, how did this impact your spiritual life, or did it?
Probably so.
It did impact your life,
Yes.
spiritual life.
I don't know if it was exactly that moment, but yes, there were several things going on in my life that probably tied in with this event.
Do you want to talk about that
Sure.
in detail? Okay. So well, just tell it. Just go ahead and tell us what how this affected you.
When about that time I was working at an outlet mall, and I had.
Tell the kids out there what an outlet mall is.
They probably know.
Oh, they probably know. Okay, I say things all the time, and kids are like, "What's that?" I'm old. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
I'm sure Heather Brown knows what an outlet mall is. Anyway, I was friends with, well, let me start over. I had friends that I worked with that decided it would be a great idea if they brought a Ouija board to work.
Oh.
And I did not believe in such things. I knew what it was, but I didn't think that it actually did anything. I thought it was just some kind of, trick or something. Like on the board, like, I don't know, that whoever was controlling it could make it do whatever. I don't know. Anyway. So they would bring this board to work and they would get it out every once in a while and they would play it. And one night they talked me into touching it. And I wanted to see what the deal was and how it moved and whatever. So I participated in their round of questioning this board and just to feel it move around and stuff. And it was weird. And the first time I did that, I didn't really think much of it afterwards. I felt the thing move around and then I was just like, whatever, this is stupid. And still didn't know if I actually believed that it was a thing. But they would bring it to work every once in a while, like pretty consistently. Like every time I worked, they would bring out the board. And so another night.
That sounds like a toxic work environment.
Yeah, it was really weird. I don't know if they even had the idea to do this. But so another time they brought the board, and this time I did participate, and I was more convinced then that it wasn't a trick and that it really was moving because they were really talking to some kind of spirit that was present or whatever. And so
were the others reacting in the same way, like they were?
Yeah, they were like asking questions, and they had been telling me about, like, you know, other times that they had did this and they were getting these answers and whatever. Weird things started happening in our store.
Imagine that.
We would come in and our merchandise would be on the floor. Like things that were up high were on the floor. Not like messy or anything, but like it had purposely been taken down and just placed on the floor. And we would be like, oh, that's weird. You know, maybe we forgot.
Did you notice if there was like a pattern of these things being laid on the floor, or?
No, it was just random.
Not like someone walked in and said, I don't want this, and just set it down. And
well, there would be like a line of stuff on one side, and it was just like everything from the top was just taken down and lined up.
So I just got the thought of Ghostbusters. You remember the library scene? And there's like the books all stacked up. Was it kind of like that, or?
Yeah, well, it wasn't stacked. There wasn't anything stacked weirdly or anything.
You didn't see a librarian standing there that shushed you or anything? Okay.
Anything like that involved.
Gotcha.
But I only saw it like one time, and apparently other things went on, and other people witnessed other things going on.
Other things?
Yes, like apparently one night they were playing on it, and a cup flew off of the file cabinet and hit the wall, and there was a big scratch on the wall where the cup had hit.
Like it was thrown?
Yeah. Or like it was knocked across the room.
Like if it left a mark on the wall, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Didn't like fall over. It was like thrown. Okay.
And then apparently this board had made its rounds around the mall. And there were people at another store that were seeing like little people in their stock room. So
little people.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask you to elaborate on.
I don't know what they are.
Is that all you asked, or is that all they saw?
That's all they saw. And
did they play with them, or did it? What kind of effect did that have on these people that saw it?
I don't really know. I did not talk directly to these people. This was just things that I would hear.
Okay.
So I don't know.
That's interesting that it got back to you and it wasn't like,
there was like talks of like native burial grounds and blah, blah, blah. And of course, all of that.
Oh, this is Oklahoma.
Brought up.
Yeah, that's not uncommon to be things like that in this nation or this state and this nation. So you said this Ouija board was making the rounds around was it just your place of business or the other businesses in this mall?
Yeah, I think a couple other businesses participated.
Does it surprise you that the mall was completely destroyed by an act of God years later? No, I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, that's interesting. That by the way, kids, don't play with Ouija boards. They are just simply tools. There's nothing evil about the material, the board, the cardboard, whatever it's made of. It's how it's used. I'm not saying go get a Ouija board and think you're going to do something good with it, but the only thing a Ouija board is used for is for spiritual communication. And when you tap into that realm, you're dealing with unseen things and you don't know what you're dealing with. You're opening doors to a lot of potential stuff. So,
Yes. So the last time that I messed with it, I don't even remember what night it was or what we did, but I think something followed me home.
oh, yeah.
And I remember laying in bed that night, crying in tears, just like so scared. Um, like even more scared than when I saw the UFO. Like so scared and didn't know what to do. I finally just in all of my tears just cried. I don't really remember if it was out loud. I'm pretty sure it was out loud, but it was quiet so my family could not hear because our house was small and
Is this,
you
did
could
you
hear
guys live in the
everything.
country at this time?
Yes, fully lived out in the country when I was yes. Um and I just remember asking God, telling God how sorry I was for doing that, for participating in, because I knew it was wrong. I knew that it opened up um, spiritual, whatever.
An open door.
And I knew that it was demons, and I knew it wasn't like uh, of God.
Yeah.
And this was all like Halloween time, by the way. So I think that's how they ended up using this Ouija board and bringing this Ouija board to work. But anyway,
Yeah, it's all fun in games until something follows you home.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So you would call that the hitchhiker effect, or we would call that the hitchhiker effect in this field of work. And it's not like you willingly picked something up. It's I like calling it the parasitic effect. I think it's called that over in the UK, and it's basically when you mess with something occultic. Sometimes something attached to it will follow you home, and it's not really like you willingly thought, I'm going to bring this entity into my home. It just kind of stuck to you and like a parasite. So yeah, when that happened, so what you said, you cried out to the Lord, of course.
yes. So I basically just was like, God, I'm so sorry that I did this. I know it was wrong. Um, and I was just like, please, whatever is here, please get rid of it. Um, I don't want any part of this anymore. I will never touch this thing again. I know it's real and I know it's not something to be messed with. And I just over just remember pleading with God because I could not go to sleep. I was just like laying in bed, like shaking with fear. And I was just like, please take these things from me and, um, take them out of our house, take them out of my room, wherever, whatever these things are, whatever this feeling was that I was having, I was like, please just take it away and give me peace. And he did.
So you did
I
feel
can
peace after that.
remember just like all of a sudden, I just like knew they were gone and I went to sleep.
That's awesome. Yeah, you don't want to do all that and then go to bed wondering if it had any effect when you know that there was a supernatural, you might say,
Like
intervention.
I felt like they were in my car with me driving home.
Yeah.
I remember like flying home, like if I can just get home, to where my mama and daddy are, then it's going to be okay. But no, they were. And I was okay until I went to bed and everyone was quiet and silence and everything. And then I knew they were, whatever these things were still there.
Did anything happen in your room? Like,
No.
you just knew in your spirit, basically. Yeah.
And I think, just because my mom was such a faithful Christian that I'm sure God didn't allow them to do anything in my home, just for the pure fact that my
they were basically
family were there.
squatting in your home in a way.
Yeah. I almost think now that God just allowed that to happen just so I would know that feeling and know to not mess with it anymore. And yeah.
Yeah, and there's also there's there's an aspect of permission too. So when you mess with things like that, you're basically giving permission for those things to enter in. And then when I want to point out 1 John 1:9 in the Bible. It's if we confess our sins, basically telling ourselves, tell God, I'm sorry I did this. It says he is faithful and righteous, forgiving us of our sins and cleansing us from all unrighteousness. So he's forgiving us, putting us back into fellowship with him, and he's also removing the unrighteousness that we've basically stuck onto ourselves. And it's awesome that you felt that immediate peace right after you did confess. So take that as a lesson. Yeah, I mean, when we mess with stuff, even if it's something that we didn't, go, hey, I'm going to go out and buy this Ouija board, when someone else brings one in or tries to get you to participate in something nefarious or of occultic nature or esoteric means, you want to obviously, even if you do, just kind of go, okay, fine, but if you say to yourself, Lord, I'm not doing this willingly, but if you are, you're still opening that door. So take that and that's probably why it happened too. So you could tell people later, don't mess with it, even if you're an unwilling participant, so to speak, quote unquote. You might as well just run and I'm taking the night off or and just get out of there. So well, that's good that it definitely got out of your home. So did you feel any like resurgence after that, like an attempt to come back? Or
no, I didn't feel any kind of like weird presence or anything ever again. But from that point forward, I had a lot of questioning of my own faith. And basically just struggled with my relationship with God from that point forward up until way too late in my life.
Yeah, I get that. So when you say you struggled in your faith, how did I guess you thought that maybe did the UFO have any impact on that too? Or
yes, it made me think that maybe that sense of fear that I had made me just wonder if that was just part of it. That was I don't know. I don't know that I really related both of those events together, but it just kind of the sense of doubt of my relationship with God, it just added to it.
did you ever hear things like I did growing up, like if bad things happen to you, then you might not be saved and stuff like that?
Yes, I was definitely going through a period of
Well, that would include everyone
like
in the New Testament.
Yeah.
If if bad things happen to you, then you're not. That's everyone in the scriptures. If bad things happen to you.
Basically, like, I was told things like, if you have any doubt in your heart, then you are not saved. That you only have head knowledge and not heart knowledge. And I never really understood.
I don't think there's about that, but
how your head and your heart work the same. I mean, I understand what they're saying, like thinking versus like feeling, but yeah,
Hmm.
there was a lot of that going on within
there's
the
still
church at that time, and I don't want to say anything bad about my church because I love my church that I grew up in and the people there. But
yeah, I love them too. They're great people.
But yes, there was definitely a lot of that kind of teaching and preaching going on, and I struggled with my faith for a really, really long time, probably up until my mom died.
Do you think that the enemy, the devil, whatever you want to call him, uses that maybe twisting of theology to affect people?
For sure. It definitely made me ineffective as a Christian.
Interesting. So, ineffective Christianity. That's I should make an episode called that. But so that would mean basically Christians that are struggling so much that their ministry is essentially put on hold or paused. And yeah, that's interesting.
I still went to church. We still went to church. I was still active in church. I just did not feel, I thought, I don't know, I just didn't feel like anything that I did personally was good enough. And I was definitely striving to do things on my own.
It's almost like it spread from something so seemingly little to infect, or I say infecting, but well, in a way, affecting, kind of spreading throughout your life.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So that definitely sounds something that's not. It's either from the good side or the bad side. There's not three sides. There's not a neutral. In my opinion, there's not a neutral group out there. You're either for God or against Him. And if something's actually affecting you in a way, pulling you away from being an effective Christian or an effective person or effective believer, it's definitely not from the good side. Interesting. Wow, that's amazing. That's so a UFO encounter. That. What do you think? Who do you think these guys are? Where do you think these guys were from? This thing you saw in the sky.
Well, from the fear that I felt, I don't think it's from God, for sure. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, do you think it was something that our military developed and was just secretly flying over this obscure random city and rural area in Oklahoma that it's like, hey, let's check out this plot of grass and
Possibly, but I don't know what anyone would have wanted from there.
or do you think maybe there was something going on in maybe not this person's house or maybe this area?
Maybe that area.
Like maybe the land was maybe even in history, maybe there was some defilement of the land or something. Who knows? Maybe going way, way back. Who knows?
And I did finally, when one of these later on, I did open up to my mom and my family about seeing what I saw. And they started telling me about other people who in that area had reported similar things, including my dad.
Oh wow! So it's like a hotspot almost.
So yeah, my dad at one point was on his way to work early one morning and saw something fly across the sky at a really high rate of speed. And some other people that we went to church with had some, similar encounters.
Interesting. So this wasn't the only sighting in that area.
No.
And of course, people don't like to talk about it, so you think it never happens. And it's not until people start talking about it and they're like, you know what, I've seen something too, but I didn't tell anybody. So, and that's it. And you went years, it sounds like, without talking about it. And so I wonder how much this happens and people just don't want to tell anyone. And
well, it made me feel better, verified that I wasn't crazy when I saw what I saw.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I mean, you're a little crazy. I mean, you married me.
Well, I did. Yes.
Right. So What would you say helped you work through the fear and the confusion that you experienced after you saw
At
this
that
thing?
time when I saw it,
Sure. Or even after.
um, well, like I said, I remained active in my church and I read God's word as much as, probably every day, um, trying to seek my answers. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of it I just pushed down and I didn't really talk about it to a lot of people, how I was feeling.
But you definitely think that getting closer to the Lord helped you.
Yeah. And then when I met you,
Uh-oh. Here we go.
and we started getting spiritually stronger as a couple, that helped.
And then you realized I was a crazy UFO
And
nerd.
then I realized that you loved UFOs and were really obsessed over things. And
Thanks, Dad.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely not uncommon that these things rattle people. These things shake up people's faith, or definitely just want to make you forget it ever happened, and hope it doesn't happen again. And wow, that's a very interesting, and it's not. And I can tell you that you're not the kind of person that would want to have one of these experiences. I know a lot of people out there, and including me when I was a young boy. I want to see a UFO. I want to see a UFO. Looking back, do you think you'd want to see something like that ever again?
No. But I think if I did, I would know what to do now.
Just start. What would you do?
I would call upon Jesus
Very good.
to get these things out of our.
Yeah, get out of my property.
Yeah.
Don't land here. Um, yeah, that's wow. That's such a cool story. I mean, cool how it started so unexpectedly and it affected you in a deep, deep way, and then the Lord kind of helped you come back and um, definitely kept these things away from you. Do let me ask another question. Looking back today, from what was that, 30 something years ago?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about it now versus when you experienced it then?
Oh, I don't know. It was just a weird thing that happened in life, and um, I realize now that a lot of people have had strange sightings and encounters with things, and probably way weirder than what I experienced. And
And I remember telling you years ago when I was into this, like really obsessed with this topic, well, this person saw this person saw this, but that doesn't really change things because I was just, into that topic so much. You probably thought I just believed everything I heard.
yeah.
So what makes you think that this stuff happens more now?
I just,
Let me rephrase that. You didn't say that. Let me ask it differently. What makes you more open to talk about this when you said that others have seen similar things? I guess that's the best way to ask that.
well, I've just heard more and more stories through the years from people and podcasts, and I could just tell that there's strange things going on in the world. I think as the Lord gets closer to um, taking us out of here, I think weirder and weirder things are going to happen.
Is it kind of weird to you that they're talking about UFOs in Congress
Yes.
and the president's talking about UFOs
Yes.
and all these celebrities, and a lot of it is just, trolling. And, recently it was the James Franco stuff. We still don't really know what's going on there, or maybe we do. I haven't really been following that, but, the Disclosure Day movie coming out, and people immediately going to, and even Steven Spielberg saying, "Oh, it's going to affect Christians everywhere, and it's going to affect their faith." And how do you feel about that?
Well, it's not going to affect my faith, but yeah, people need to be ready and have an answer for these things
Because you saw one.
because I saw one, and they are not here to be our friends
Why do you say that?
because of that sense of dread that I had.
Yeah, it didn't land and say, "Hey, I'm here to help you, and I can give you a ride to wherever you're going much quicker," did it?
No, I saw no creatures of any sort.
Probably a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go back to what you said, how it affected you spiritually. And you said it actually, not maybe directly, but you actually questioned your spiritual destiny, your salvation.
Yes. Um, I don't think it was necessarily the UFO or the Ouija board or anything like that that necessarily made me think that. It was just those were probably that was probably the time that I did start doubting my salvation, doubting God, doubting not that God existed. Um, I never doubted that. I just doubted whether I was good enough to be saved. And I feel like I went back and forth on that for a really, really long time in my life. And like I said earlier, made me an ineffective Christian. And so, probably for a good 25, 30 years, I struggled with that. And it wasn't until my mom died 5 years ago that I finally think I did. I made peace with everything. And um, I don't feel like I struggle with that anymore. It was like all of a sudden when my mom died, God never, Jesus never seemed so real to me as it did during that time. She died from COVID, and it was a very traumatic time. And when she died, after that, I kind of just was like, Leah, you need to get it together and quit doubting God, quit quit doubting that your faith is not good enough because it is. That's all he asks of us is to believe in Jesus, faith alone in Christ alone. And ever since then, I've been at peace. I don't I don't struggle with that anymore. And it makes me sad when I hear about people who struggle with that as well. I want to help them. I want them to know that there's no like magic prayer, like the walking the aisle, praying the prayers, whatever. It's just wherever you are in this world, whatever state you are in, mentally or whatever, spiritually, you just have to put your faith in Jesus. And that's it. It's simple. People make it way too hard.
Yeah, Jesus definitely wants to give his gift away. And that's what the Bible tells us, that salvation isn't something that salvation meaning, are we going to heaven? Which is a very loaded question, because, where's heaven? What's heaven? What does that mean? And, I think we all know what it means, or we're going to be with Jesus and wherever that is. And, of course, theologically, we can go down several areas where there's multiple places, the kingdom and then eternal state and all that. But yeah, God makes the salvation part, the where am I going when I die question, very easy by just giving us a gift of that. And all we have to do is just put our trust in him, believe in him, you know. And to all my theological friends out there, I'm not saying two things you have to do. I'm just saying you got to believe in who Jesus said he was. Believe in him for eternal life. He gives you that gift. And if you don't believe me on that, that's fine. I'm not the one that said it. The Bible says it. Ephesians 2:8 and 9. For by grace you are saved through faith, not of yourselves. It's not something you do. It is a gift from God, not of something you do, not of works, so that no one may boast. And of course, I added a few little, my own little annotations in there. But that's an awesome story. Yeah, and I think the enemy ultimately uses a lot of things that we might consider normal or just part of life, or to distract us from that mission in life, to live that Christian life. And it's not about us being saved, it's about, here's your free gift of eternal life, now live for me. We don't live for him to get eternal life. We live for him because he loves us, and because he died for us and wants to give us that gift. And now we just need to, what's next? It's not spending your whole life going, what am I going, what about me? It's about me. And that's, I think, one of the tools of the enemy is to make it about us. What about my eternal life? How about everyone else? Let's try to help other people. And, dear, I'm going to pick on you for a second, but, I know for years you and I know you struggled with, like, what am I supposed to do with my Christian life? I can't find something I like to do. And I think it's been revealed to you now that, it's just helping people. And, you've been through a lot. We didn't talk about some of the things you've been through, both spiritually, physically, health wise. You're doing great now, but um, I think the Lord is finally bringing. It's funny how people all around us seem to be coming to you for help. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, hey, can you help me? You've been through a lot, so can you help me? And I think that's maybe why you went through so much of that in your life, is so you can help people. I'll quit. I know this is supposed to be a UFO story, but I think we ultimately always come back to the purpose of it, and it always ends up being a spiritual purpose. And if you want to add something to that, go right ahead.
I don't. I'm good. I just want you to take me to dinner.
Okay, I'm going to leave that in there. So she's done, and I love her for that, because she doesn't sugarcoat that stuff. So we're going to go eat something now. But anyway, I want to just end this by saying that if you've had some weird experience that doesn't fit into your normal group of discussion paradigm, that was a horribly worded phrase, but if you've had some kind of weird experience and you're like, I don't know anyone I can tell this to, or I'm too embarrassed to talk about this, I saw a monster, or I saw a UFO, or there's something in my room. And I'll be perfectly honest, I started teaching a class at my local church body about spiritual warfare, and it was almost like people were finally like, hey, there's someone I can finally talk to about this weird stuff that's been going on, because this guy's kind of weird like me, my wife would agree. But no, it was like, we're talking about spiritual things, and there's some weird stuff going on that fits into this stuff he's talking about. And people would come up to me afterward, kind of in private, because, it's kind of embarrassing to them. And they'd say, I'm going through this, or I'm seeing this, or I'm struggling with this. And it's like, that's okay. This is all normal. I mean, it's not normal to go through this, but there's a fix for it. And it's just part of spiritual warfare. So, and that's been happening a lot more with me lately. There's a lot of stuff going on in my personal life that is spiritual related. That's it's like the Lord is like throwing things at me to do, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'll do it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I trust He's going to get me through it, and He has been. So yeah, if you've got this is your opportunity. If you're hearing this and you've got something that's bothering you that you saw or you experienced or you don't know how to deal with, let me know. Shoot me an email. The email address is questionsatmidnightpodcast@gmail.com. And just say, hey, I'm going through, and I'm not going to share it with everybody. I'm going to keep it confidential. And if you want to talk about something or you want to just ask a question, that's fine too. And that's what we do here. So I just want to thank you for this episode. Thank you, dear, for being so open about this topic that you haven't been very open about years previous. And you want anything else to say besides you're hungry?
I love you.
I love you too, dear. All right. That's it. So thank you all for listening. And as always, keep asking those questions at midnight.